it's Coach Whitney. Hey, I wanted to take a second to explain the individual report. So there's a lot of information here, and although we have some little blocks on the side that explain it high level, there's a lot of numbers here, and they probably don't make a lot of sense unless you have some context for them. So I'm going to start with this first block here. It's the physical readiness evaluation. So that's where we had you do the balance and the cardio and all the strength and endurance tests. So that one, I'll start with body fat. So that is a percentage. We want that percentage to go down unless you're in the acceptable range. In that case, we want that number to be stable there. So that's a percent. That percent should go down, and the score is out of 20. Balance and stability, right and left. So each side is worth 10 points each. We want you to get to the third progression in 30 seconds. That's going to be the max points for that one. Cardiovascular, so we were looking for that number to go down. Anything under 50% is going to be your max points there, and you'll get 20 points. So you want that heart rate to be at a minimal level while you do that test that we had you guys do. Core strength and endurance, that's the max repetitions you can get there is 25, and then that's going to be a score of 10. Obviously, you want to increase those repetitions if you're not at 25. Upper strength and endurance, so that's going to be based on your age and gender. So that's the push-ups, so that's out of 10 points, and you want to increase those repetitions. Lower body strength and endurance is a wall sit. Again, it's age and gender norms, so it's going to look different for each of you, but that is also out of 10 points, and you want to increase that time at your wall sit. Lower flexibility, you want to minimize that distance between your fingertips and your toes. If you have a 0, that's going to be max points, and then you'll get a score of 10. Upper flexibility we don't do, except if you have this at home, you can do that one. It just takes somebody else to measure, and so therefore we don't do it at the team session. So body composition is going to be the next one, so we don't have scores for this except for body fat, which is up there. But these are just for you to gauge how you're doing, and these are easy for people to make goals upon. So weight is going to be different depending on what your goal is. If you're trying to lose weight, obviously you want that number to go down. Maintain, obviously you want it to stay the same. And then if you're trying to gain lean tissue mass, which is kind of rare, then you want that weight to go up. But we'll talk about that in a second, what numbers you're going to look for. Body fat mass, you want the body fat to go down. Dry tissue mass, so that's going to be your muscle, and that's going to be muscle when you subtract out all the water weight from it. So that's what we like to call your jerky weight, because it's kind of like a piece of jerky. If you were to take all the water out of your muscle, that's what you're left with. So that number is probably going to stay the same, if not just increase a little bit. That's the trends we're looking for. It's not going to increase a whole lot, even if you're lifting really heavy there. It's just kind of hard to move. BMI, so that's body mass index. That's just going to be a relationship between your height and weight. Not super important when we have all these other numbers here, but something that you can compare that you probably have heard before. So next on the list, second page here, readiness assessment. So this is that survey that we had you guys take. Each of these top 4 in behavior change, nutrition, fitness, sleep hygiene, and stress management are going to be out of 20. So we want those numbers to increase over time, and then 20 is going to be the max. Mindfulness, so that's self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-efficacy. These ones are all out of 40 points, and obviously the same thing, we want those to increase over time, and the max is going to be 40 points. So we get down to this very bottom place, and that's the R2 score, which is the readiness and resilience. So that's how we wrap up all of these numbers and help you digest them. So the first one is PRE, which is that first block we talked about, the physical readiness evaluation. That was a total of 100 points. We want to see for each of these first 3, we want to see 60 points for an acceptable amount of physical readiness or mental resilience. And an optimal would be an 80 or above. So that kind of gives you a little bit better way to gauge how you're doing here. Behavior change and mindfulness, so that's going to take you back up here. We change these into 100 points, so we're not just adding all that up and putting it down here. We're making it relative to the rest of these categories, so it's out of 100 points. again, looking for a 60, 80 is going to be your optimal. So you want to get a 60 in each of these first 3, and then the overall score is just all of those added together. And that's going to show us throughout the entire engagement who's improving in their overall physical readiness and resilience. So really quick wrap up of that, and hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. And thanks for joining.